Hi, this is Frode, and in this video we will explore The Book of Not Knowing by Peter Ralston. Alright, The Book of Not Knowing, subtitle, Exploring the True Nature of Self, Mind and Consciousness. Peter Ralston is the founder of Shenzhen, which is a free dogma approach to consciousness work, which requires first-hand experience in body-mind training. And we'll talk more about consciousness in this video. He is also the first non-Asian to win a world championship in a full-contact martial arts tournament in China. And he gives a lot of the credit to his enlightenment experience that he had at age 21, very early. And we'll talk more about enlightenment very soon, because that helped him get really a feel for his opponents, which made him very superior in skill. And in the Book of Not Knowing, he brings us on a journey to discover and explore the true nature of self, mind and consciousness, as the subtitle suggests. And this can seem pretty abstract, but it's really not. If you really do the work in this book and do all the exercises and try to follow his communication, then it can be truly life-changing, how your view on life and yourself will change. It's a really dense, deep book of about 600 pages, which requires you to do the work. And yeah, I read the book 2 times in a row and still can't seem to wrap my mind around a lot of the concepts, because it's going really deeply into our psychology and yeah, the reality of ourselves and existence itself. So if you're a self-help junkie like me, who has been starting to get a bit tired of many of the more shallow things which are out there in books and videos and courses, and want to start diving deeper, or you are just you just find truth very valuable, you highly value truth, then I think it's a book that it's a wise option for you to buy and study. So we are going to go through 5 of my favorite big ideas right now, and I want you to set one intention for this video as you're watching. Something very simple, but it's actually hard to do. That's to keep your mind open to the possibility that the things I'm talking about here might actually be true, even though you haven't experienced them, and you might have many different beliefs that come up and objections. Just be open to the possibility of discovering something new about yourself and reality. So with that in mind, let's begin with the first big idea, which is enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Well, enlightenment is a breakthrough in your consciousness, where you become directly conscious of the essential true nature of a facet of existence, like yourself, or being, or reality itself. And there are first, to give you a little hint of what it's like. It can't really be communicated, enlightenment, because it's something that you have to directly experience. Hence why Peter Ralston gives so much emphasis on direct experience instead of hearsay, what other people have taught us and we have learned, which we'll talk more about soon. But enlightenment, as far as I can see, without having experienced it myself, is like waking up from a dream that you have been dreaming your whole life, and suddenly realizing that it's all been just a dream and not reality. It's kind of like waking up from a deep slumber and having this huge breakthrough where you suddenly wake up. And there are a lot of different benefits of enlightenment, and even pursuing enlightenment in itself, even if you don't actually attain the absolute state, which gurus and sages have achieved through the ages, and the Buddha. So some of the benefits that I've heard about are you get to develop a capacity of unconditional love toward all beings, because you can see that you and I and everybody else in existence itself are really not separate. We are all one. Like Jesus talked about, if you are kind toward another, you are kind toward me, since we are all connected. But anyway, some other benefits of enlightenment are an increased understanding of yourself, your own emotions, why you have those emotions, your own behaviors, why you're reacting in certain ways in different situations, your bad habits, your addictions. You can start getting free of all of those because you see them for what they actually are. And yep, some other benefits of enlightenment are you get free of the illusion that you might find yourself living in right now, of who you actually are. You might think you know, but we'll talk more about yourself very soon. And yeah, my number one benefit with enlightenment is that it makes you free to not act out a set of predetermined patterns that have been molded into you by your culture. So you're free to investigate the very true nature of yourself and existence by your own experience. And how do you attain enlightenment and work toward it? Well, that's through doing consciousness work, which is really dispelling all the beliefs and assumptions you have, your self-identifications about who you think you are, what you think is true about reality, all that you know. And you're actually dispelling, such as if there has been a spell cast on you and you dispel that spell. So you're no longer held under that illusion, which is controlling your behavior. So it really gives you the ability of choice in your life. So exactly how to achieve it? That's very general. Dispel beliefs, assumptions, identifications. Become directly conscious of yourself and reality. And that's not something that you do in a day or two. That takes probably years of doing contemplation work and other meditative practices. And contemplation is our fifth big idea, which we'll go into very soon. So that's a quick look at enlightenment. Having a sudden breakthrough in consciousness, of becoming directly conscious of the essential nature of something. So our next big idea number 2, is not knowing, which is an incredibly important state to learn to be in if you want to raise your consciousness. So what is not knowing? Well, I want to tell you a story first about to illustrate this concept, which Peter tells in the book. There was once a university professor who wanted to inquire, who met a Zen master because they wanted to inquire about Zen and learn more about it. So there they sat, and the master served tea. He started pouring the cup of the professor, the teacup with tea, and the professor was watching him while he was doing this. And suddenly, when the professor saw that the master kept pouring until the cup was overflowing, he stopped. He shouted, "Stop! Can't you see that the cup is full?" And then the Zen master said, "Yes, and just like this cup, your mind is filled with preconceived opinions and ideas. So how can I show you Zen if your cup is full?" And the moral of the story is that if you have all these concepts and ideas and beliefs and dogmas about what you think reality is like and who you are and what you know about everything, that's like a cup which is full. You can try pouring more into it, but it just can't hold anymore. But if you're able to get into a state of not knowing, truly acknowledging that, no, I have not actually experienced the true reality of this. I only know concepts, what I've heard, what I've learned, what I've read, or what I've been taught in school. then it's like a cup that is empty. It's open to all kinds of insights and experiences and discoveries. But what is really the thing that's holding you back from being in a state of not knowing? Well, the most obvious reason is that it's very uncomfortable to not know. Just think about back to an exam you had that was really uncomfortable, where you didn't know a lot of the answers. Not knowing those answers might have made you a bit nervous, might have got your heart racing, sweating. Maybe you started squirming and you wanted to get out of there because it's so uncomfortable. And in the same way, we cling to beliefs, spiritual dogmas, religions, cling to the beliefs that we form ourselves, the beliefs that have been implanted into us by our parents and our teachers while we were young, that we don't even know are there. We're just acting on them. That's kind of the reason that we're not able to be in a state of not knowing, because it's uncomfortable. Just like before the world was all charted and explored, something would stand on those uncharted territories on maps. Beyond this place be dragons. In other words, it's very, very scary and dangerous out there, where we don't know what it's like. And in the same way, before people knew that the earth is round, they thought they could fall off the cliff. So we don't really like what's unknown. But what is really the benefit of not knowing? The main benefit I see is that it opens you up to a possibility of true discovery into your own nature and into the true nature of whatever it is that you want to explore and investigate. Because if you think about it, what comes before knowing? If there is something that you know right now, what had to be there before in order for you to know it? That's of course not knowing. The cup must be empty before it's full. It's not just suddenly full as if there was always something there. And so that's really the key idea, that if you want to have any true insights and discoveries, if you want to learn at maximum level and be able to learn whatever it is that you're investigating, then you have to come from a state of not knowing, which is really the book. The name of the book of not knowing. It's truly clear that this is an important facet. But how do you actually get into this state? We can try one experiment, because the key is to allow yourself to admit that, no, I actually don't know what this thing is, or who I am, or and acknowledging that you haven't directly experienced something for yourself. So let's take a very common belief. You do believe that the Earth is round, right? And that's pretty obvious too. You've seen a lot of pictures. The Earth is always round. Astronauts have been up there and told us, yep, the Earth is round. You've seen a lot of pictures from space, and all the other planets in the universe seem to be round too, so why shouldn't the Earth be round? But the key that we're missing here is that you haven't actually experienced it yourself. Because when you're standing on the ground now, and if you look out the window, you can see that it seems pretty flat, or a bit curvy, but it's not round, the Earth. You can't actually see the roundness. I can't, at least. And when you start to realize this, that you haven't directly experienced it for yourself, then you can start and sit with this for a few minutes. You can start wondering, And by the way, pictures don't help either, because you have not seen it with your own eyes. The pictures are themselves, could themselves be all manipulated for all you know, if you haven't been into space. So if you sit with this for a minute and say, I don't really know what shape the Earth is like. And if you also take yourself back 2,000 years when people actually thought the Earth was flat, but you're not so sure. Is the Earth flat? Might it be square? What is actually the shape of the Earth? And you keep asking yourself that question. And then might it be triangular? Perhaps it's two-dimensional. Or it might be round. Yeah, guess there's no way to find out unless I actually go into space and see it. So if you sit with this for a few moments, the intention is that you will have a shift in awareness and thereby start seeing that you actually don't know what the shape of the earth is. So that's not knowing. Key toward enlightenment. That again, I haven't experienced, but I can already see the benefits of applying these ideas and truly embodying them, of becoming more conscious of why I do certain behaviors, and it seems like it's actually helping to stop bad habits, becoming more aware of why they are there at the root level. But anyway, let's go to the third big idea. That's the self. Who are you? Let's start this off with a story. A little illustration. Imagine that you are a revered fiction author. You are one of the best authors out there, and you are really good at creating main characters for your book. You are now creating the main character of your book, the hero of the whole story, which everything in your book revolves around. You get to choose what this character is going to look like, what his name will be, who his friends will be, where he will live, what he will believe, what he will think and feel, what he will do, his habits, the quests he takes, the goals he sets for himself, and how he responds to situations around him. And what I want to propose to you is that you are doing the same right now with your own life. Seems a bit outrageous, doesn't it? That you're actually creating yourself as a character in your own story. Because let's look a bit more deeply into it. You yourself, who are you? Let's try this out on me, questioning me. Who am I? Well, I'm Frode. It's obvious. But what I'm not realizing here is that my name is just a concept. Those are just words that have been set onto me so it's easier to reference me for whatever reasons. So we've got to keep on questioning. Who am I? Who am I? Well, I'm a Norwegian. I live in Norway. Yes, those are true, might be true about where I am and where I was born, but if I discovered that I was actually born in England and I'm now living in China, would I cease to exist? No, of course not. I would just be born in a different place and live a different place. What about... let's keep on going. Who am I? Well, I'm the son of this man and this woman. But if I wasn't the son of this man and this woman, but this man and this woman, would I stop existing? Would I just disappear out of the air? No, I would just be the son of two different people. So I'm not the son of those. That's not who I am at the ground level. So who am I? I am these qualities. I am these qualities I'm trying to embody. Humility, kind, loving, disciplined. But the question pops up, what if all of those qualities, I didn't have any of those? Would I stop existing? No, once again. And I bet you can start seeing where this is going. Whatever you can say about yourself and think about, or your habits, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, your personal history, your past, all of those things change. But if everything that you think you are changes, what is left? And that's where you gotta have an enlightenment experience to actually perceive the true nature of who you are. And that's really fascinating. But how do you start moving beyond all the concepts that you think are true of yourself and your identifications and actually experience your true nature? The first, what you gotta do over a long period of time, not a lot of time perhaps in a day, but over many years, is to start dispelling your beliefs, assumptions about yourself, assumptions about the world you're living in, and really drill to the core of who am I. And you do that through deep contemplation, which is our fifth big idea. We're now on the third one. We will soon get to contemplation. But that's a quick look at the self. Your self is a concept. And I know that this sounds outrageous and yeah, you're probably not believing me, and my intention is not for you to believe me, but to actually start out to seek experiencing this for yourself. Be open to the possibility that it might be true that there is something else going on here about who I am. And you probably also want to know, why should I do this? What are the benefits? The main benefit I see is that it frees you from those shackles of who you think you are, so you can really move toward your authentic being, because that's really the place where you feel most alive, you feel most unhindered. You're like a blank slate, and you're free to choose your response and your behaviors in any way you want to, instead of having to automatically react based on how culture has conditioned you to act. So that's our next big idea we go on to now. Culture. Have you ever seen the movie Matrix, where the main character is in a virtual reality, but he doesn't know that he's in a false reality until somebody from the outside, if I remember correctly, someone from the outside tells him, hey, you're actually not living in reality, you're living in a false world. And then that person from outside has to help him go outside of his illusion to experience reality for himself. And in the same way, culture is conditioning us in these ways to how we're going to think, how we're going to feel about certain things in ourselves, what we want to do with our lives, the jobs we choose, the goals we set for ourselves, the habits we develop, and all the beliefs we have. Culture is conditioning all this into us, and culture can be found it's everywhere, literally. What you're watching right now is self-help culture. Where you're sitting right now in your room, everything is influenced by the culture, and culture is the general viewpoint and assumptions of any given social group. So culture is really rooted in the people in a society. It's in art, it's in the movies you see, it's in the music you listen to, it's in the opinions of the friends you meet, it's in the opinions those friends have of themselves, it's in what you do, what your goals are right now. They have been influenced by others. And the reason to really move beyond this cultural conditioning is that you become free and open to not just acting out these automatic patterns, as we talked about a few moments ago, and you're instead able to choose your own future and your own life, and to be authentic, which is one of the most blissful states we can be in. So how do you actually go about moving beyond culture? Well, it's the same with yourself. You gotta start dispelling your beliefs, becoming more conscious and aware of how culture is shaping what you're doing right now. How did you get to actually start doing this? How are you shaped to set the goals you set, to want the things you want, to be with the kind of partner you want? And all that takes time. It takes a lot of work and years of contemplation. Not to get any insights though, but to get to those really deep levels of the root understanding of yourself and reality. So that's a quick look at culture. It's a kind of like a collective hunch. We are all moving in the same ways, and we believe and think the same things as everybody else, unless somebody, like enlightened people, help us move out of this false reality, where we instead can start investigating the truth for ourselves. So the last big idea is contemplation, which is really your power tool for raising your consciousness and pursuing enlightenment. Because contemplation is really the meditative practice of looking into some matter, whatever that is, for yourself, with the intention of becoming directly conscious of its true nature. Some examples are, I want to become directly conscious of my true nature, as I know that everything I believe about myself is false. not false in that sense, but it's not reality itself. It's just concepts. It might be when I contemplate the existence itself, when I contemplate what are relationships actually. If you move beyond people being together and doing things together, what are they at the root bottom? Which, after some contemplation, you might discover that relationships are actually here to help us survive, because they help us get the resources we need to sustain our physical body with food and comfort and clothes, and they also help us get the love we need. So we know that other people are here to protect us if any danger happens. But what are the main benefits of contemplation? If you know what it is, then I would say that this main benefit is, of course, enlightenment, of having a breakthrough and becoming conscious of the true essence of something. And the most important essence is, of course, yourself, since the world seems to be revolving around you. Whether you like it or not, you must survive, you must think, you must believe certain things about yourself. So contemplation is really a way of investigating and having endless possibilities of how deeply you can go into something. It's like you're taking a blade of grass, which is boring in itself, but when you take a magnifying glass and you look deeply into it, you start seeing all these dewdrops of rain, perhaps. You see all the fine green color. You might see the small stripes inside the grass, and perhaps you see a little beetle on the grass. And you can see how the sun is shining on it, and none of those things are what you cared about until you put your magnifying glass on it. And that's the same way with contemplation. You choose one concept, one matter, whatever you are want to experience the true nature of, and you drill into it. You ask yourself, for example, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Without saying it out loud, of course. And you deeply want to know and realize that you need to have a direct experience for you to know. Or you say, what is reality? What is reality? Or what is the earth? Or whatever you want to know. What is karate? What is volleyball? What is reading? What is meditation? And you go deeply, and what you'll discover when you start contemplating these things is that you move beyond what people have told you and you think is true from before, and you start actually having insights yourself, because there's just a vast storehouse of possibilities inside your mind subconsciously that you are not able to drill down into if you're not questioning from an open state, a wonder and possibility that you may actually discover something new. Just like keeping your cup full so you can pour something into it. That's a quick look at contemplation. The way you do it is through deep questioning, like we did with myself. Who am I? No, I'm not my name. I'm not the son of my parents. I'm not all the ideas I have of myself. And I would highly encourage you to read the book if you want to learn the whole technique. Study it deeply and start applying it to your life. Let's have a quick recap before we wrap this one up. Last big idea was the contemplation, which is a meditative practice with the intention of personally becoming directly conscious of the true nature of something. Then we had culture, which is kind of like a matrix, an illusion we're living in that we don't realize until we start investigating other possibilities for ourselves, which we need certain teachers like Peter Ralston to show us the way. We have the self, which we discovered was just a concept. We opened our minds to the possibility, at least, that it's just a concept. And know that it will take a lot of work to uncover it. We mentioned not knowing, a core aspect of the book, this open state of possibility where you're open to new insights, informations, and discoveries. And finally, we had enlightenment, which is really the goal of all of this, to have a sudden breakthrough in consciousness, where you become directly aware of the essential nature of something. Okay, that's a quick recap. Now I'm curious, what's the one big idea that, or what's the one insight that you had, or one experience you could look back into where you find out, that might actually be true about my life? Or what's one action you will take right now, or perhaps an action you will schedule to do this week or next month based on what you learned in this video? Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends, comment any insights or experiences you had while watching the video, or actions you intend to take. I love reading them and happily answer you. And yeah, subscribe to this video if you already, subscribe to this channel if you already haven't. And you can check out a lot of my other videos on my YouTube channel. I talk a lot about topics and share books within productivity, self-mastery, happiness, relationships, whatever it is, everything self-help. And now we'll move deeper into enlightenment and consciousness, which is really exciting. This is my first book, which goes so deeply. So I am also curious about what you thought about this topic of consciousness itself. If you think you find it useful, and yeah, whether you like it or not. Then you did a good job today of sticking with me if you're actually watching this. I know that it might have been painful to sit through all of this and try to wrap your mind around what I was actually talking about, since that's really hard on the first go with these kinds of insights. And it's really important that you stick with me, since it's hard to stay on this self-actualization journey for long unless you have some constant good information that you can use in your own life. So hope you'll stick with me, and look forward to share more. That's me signing off, and keep on self-actualizing.